Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going back into this game and making a reload animation. So we're going to go into the animation tab, select this guy and create a new one. It's going to be called reload. And so if that's pose 1, you can grab these and delete them. And so pose, the next one is going to be around here. And I want let's make it at like 10 or something like that. And that's going to be rotation. And then at frame 20, the other arm, actually let's make it like 17. We're going to have to adjust all these to the sound too, just so you know. Okay, so what we're going to do is grab this guy and make it look like he's bringing a clip to the bottom of this gun. Okay, so that's pretty good. So that's what that'll be. So it's from 10 to 17, we'll do that. So now we need to select this clip. Okay, there we go. We're going to call this magazine reload. So what, right here, that's its lockout scale. Alright, there, that's its lockout scale. Then I just realized something. So right here, we're gonna go like that. And this allows some time in between there. So right there, that's going to be the lockout scale. So that's going to be lockout scale for right there. And now we can take this, and on this frame, instead of being right there, we're going to rotate this. Okay, so we need to rotate Y 90. Sorry, rotate Y 180, so it's like that. Rotate X 180. Rotate Z 90. Inside by this frame, it's going to be right there. Okay, so we can go lockout scale. we're going to do this for every frame. And make sure that it's following it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to look like it would go into a gun, or like it needs to look decent. So after this, it's going to go back to this frame right there. Okay. Then after that frame, we can go back to here. Whoops. Shift D that and put it right there, so we're staying there for 1 second. Not a second, but an amount of time. And then he's going to go back to this one. That's a little big, but let's see. We're going to link this up, so we're going to go back to default. So 1 to 27. Oh yeah, we also need to go back to this magazine guy and put this on 27. Cool. So now we can go to default. Now with this reload thing, we're going to play the action. Reload. And we're also going to play with the magazine, its action. So let's shift select it. We're going to link that to the R key. So now if we play this, so it's moving pretty fast, so I don't like how fast it's moving. I'm going to grab everything and scale it outwards. What frame is this on now? It's on frame 34 now, so we're going to do the same thing to this one. Now we can go back to default and play. Actually, we need to put this to 34. Now what happens if we play? Let's do it in object mode. And I think that looks a lot better. Cool. So we can walk around, things like that. Now, something I've noticed, we're walking around pretty slow, because that's our walking pace, but in regular life I can run. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create with this guy a new key sensor, and this is going to be keyboard, and we're going to call this shift key. And when you hold down shift and W, you're going to have a motion that's going to be about twice as much as we can run, so it's going to be 0.2. Because I don't know about you guys, but I can run about twice as fast as I can walk. Well, I think I can. And now we can play, walk around, and we can also sprint. But because this is a weird looking floor, we have no way of really telling that reference. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this floor, I'm going to apply I'm going to apply a texture to it. So we can go online here. And this is what we're doing right now. We're just building not not a huge you know, area, but we are building a little test area where we can have fun. So we're going to call this seamless grass. And my internet's not loading, so I'm going to go see if I have one on my desktop. And I have a texture, so I'm going to go terrain and put it in here. Okay, now what we can do is I can go new. It's going to be called grass patch texture, image or movie. I'll open this one. I'm going to put this to UV. I'm going to put it to about 3 to make it a bit bigger. Now what I'm going to do is apply a normal to it so that we can get a normal map. So I'm going to go new image, and it's going to be called grass patch normal. I'm going to generate a normal to this. And this will make it so that we can have a nice looking normal map, because when you do normals on just regular textures, it can look a little funny. It almost looks pixelated. And so I like to do this because we can actually make it set to a normal map, which will help everything look a little bit better. Because you can see it still looks kind of funny, but as soon as we put normal map on, it pretty much smooths it out. Anyway, what I'm going to do is, because grass isn't that shiny, put that down a little bit. So now what happens if I play, we can almost use this as a reference of how fast we're walking, because we can actually see it now. But this looks kind of boring. So it's time to bring in some foliage. So I'm going to go File, Append, Desktop, and I have in my games Asmar. Actually, in my blends file here, I have some objects with nice scenery, so I'm going to go and append the scene. So now if I go to this scene here, you can see we're going to have some nice foliage. So I'm going to grab a couple of these. I'm going to grab this one, and this one, and that one. May as well grab all of these. And I'm going to link them to Lodo. And we can delete this scene now. And now on this one we're going to have, on all of these we're going to have nice layers now, so we can go move to the first layer. We can go to textured mode. And for all of these things, they're not quite big enough yet, so I'm going to scale them up to roughly, well, not roughly, they have to be bigger than my character. So I'm going to grab this and scale it up a bit. Grab that, put it over there. Grab that. You know, you can you can grab these and play around with them, and no matter what you do, most of the time it's going to look good, because you can always just play around with it and place these. And the nice thing about these is they're low poly, and if you don't have this kit yet, I'll put it in the description. I can't remember who it was created by, but it'll say it in the description. So now if we play, we have these nice looking trees and these plants here. Now these are supposed to be alpha, so let's see what we can do about that. Oh wait, is there an alpha map? Huh, interesting. Okay, well I don't know how to fix that because I've never used an alpha map before. I just have normal alpha. So we can delete those, because in the next episode, or depending on how long this one is, we're going to actually create, sorry voice crack, some textures for this. Now you see this is really shiny, and it wouldn't actually look like this in real life. So we can grab this texture here, make that a little less shiny, a little on the green side too. That's looking a bit better. So we are at not a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a fern. So I'm going to go to CG Textures here. This is like the magical website. If it'll load, we can grab a fern texture, but meanwhile, I'm going to go cursor to center. I'm going to add a plane. I'm in edit mode. I'm going to scale this on the x-axis and add 2 loop cuts and bring those loop cuts up and bring this one over here and bring these ones over here. Just like that. Then we can go smooth if we really want to. That's looking pretty good. Now, CG Textures won't load, but what you would normally do is grab a texture that you think looks good. And this would be like a fern texture or anything like that. But what I'm going to do is, because I have some textures, I'm going to go and find it. So I'm going to go back to this low poly foliage scene here, and I'm actually liking their texture that they use. This one here. So I'm going to put this is a weird setup. I'm going to grab this texture here, this color one, and I'm going to go unpack file. I'm going to go use write to file current directory, and it's going to save it in the textures file. We're also going to save this one. Not that one. Okay, so now we can go back into here, and we can bring in our texture. I'm also going to bring in this one. And what I'm going to do is use this to select the white, delete this layer, unlock this layer, delete the green, and now we can go File, Save for Web, Save. I'm going to save it under Desktop, under Diaries, Textures, Terrain. It's going to be called Fern. Okay, so now we can make a new texture for this called Fern. we need to go new, image or movie. We'll call this fern. And now we're actually going to reduce that texture count by like 2. And generate to UV. Alpha is going to be on, and transparency is going to be all the way. So now we can open this image and unwrap it. What I'm going to do is rotate this. I'm actually going to link that and delete it and add a plane. And the reason we're doing these loop cuts is so we can do this thing here. I'm going to go to the top, scale on the Y, and now we can reopen this image. We go unwrap, texture view. Now we can rotate this by 90. And we're going to very carefully put this to roughly the right edges. I'm just going to go like that. That looks pretty good. So now we can go back into edit mode. Okay, I'm just going to go like that. And now I'm going to grab every other one. Actually, like that. And now just create a bit of randomness. So now what we can do is bring this back over to the other layer. Move this to this layer. And just like that, we've created a simple little fern that's going to look pretty good in this game engine. So you can see that looks pretty good. Looks like a little leafy fern. We've got these trees here that looks pretty good. This tree and this tree. Well, that's weird, the bullet stays. Okay, so yeah. So now what we're going to do, because we're starting to get into the terrain creation, this isn't actually going to be our map. What I'm going to do is go over to this layer here with my cursor to center, go into top view, and I have an image I want to bring in as reference that I found online. And I found this little image of a map, and this is going to be my reference image. So I'm going to show you how to make one of these buildings, like one building that's going to have like an interior and everything like that, and the rest I'm going to time lapse. But I'm actually going to go eat breakfast because I have my driver's ed course in a couple of hours. And I'm hungry, so it'll be when I get back. Okay, you guys, welcome back. So what I've got done is if we play this scene here, you can see we've got some basic houses and things like that. None of them you can enter. If I go to top view, the houses you will be able to enter is right here. There's going to be a car. This is going to be a tipped over school bus right here. Okay, for a little bit of creepiness. This right here is going to be a roadblock. These are going to be roadblocks all right here, and these three are going to be three different stores. It's going to be a video store, a coffee shop, and a gun store. So that's where you can get some fixation if you like going into stores. You'll be able to go into those ones there. You've got these basic supermarkets. Otherwise, the textures are fairly simple for this one here. It's just a set of about 4 different textures. I've got one for the door, one for these bricks, which I got off GameTextures.com, and one for the window. And the window is just a metal texture with scratches, with a normal scratch on, and then bringing it down for the transparency a bunch. And that's all it is. And it's basically the same thing for right here. It's just a door texture, a wood texture, or sorry, a plaster texture, a concrete texture for the roof, and then some vent textures, and that's really all it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this layer here, because like I said, there's going to be a car in that scene, so it's time for us to make a car. So we're going to remove this background image, and I'm going to add a new one. And this one's going to be in my downloads, and this is an image I just downloaded. And this is going to be the car, and it's a Nissan 300ZX Turbo, I guess. And the reason I like this one is because it's got all the views I need for modeling, as well as the views I need for texturing. So I'm going to grab this cube, and I'm going to bring it into edit mode, and put a loop cut right there. And I'm going to go to top view, and delete one of these sides. I'm going to add a mirror modifier. I'm going to bring it to right there. And now we can start working on this car. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the basic blocking. So I'm going to get just the shape of the car down in this first couple loop cuts and things like that. And it's better to be outside, or sorry, inside the car than outside, these lines that I'm doing here. So yeah, just bring these just inside by a little bit. I'm going to create a loop cut right there. Bring that to right there. That's right there, so we can make that whatchamacallit later. Okay, so we've got the basic form. We can go to the side view here. Just going to be right here. Let's scale that up a little bit. Now we can start getting into the basic front, or side view, sorry. So put that down right there. Start rotating this and bringing that down. And it doesn't have to be perfect, you just want it close to perfect. Because this is a low poly object, the textures really is what's going to make it. It's not the form. If I were making a car for a race car game, I would spend a lot more time doing this, because you'd want it to be a very good looking car. And for this part here, I'm just going to bring this up a little bit, and it can go back down right there. And the reason I'm doing that is because we're going to actually have wheels in a second here that we're going to create. So let's go like that. I'm going to bring that out a little bit. this one, this can go back in, go up there. Oh, sorry guys. Headphones. My headphones turn off, and unless they're plugged in, because they're wireless. It gets annoying sometimes, but I like to have it plugged in for the recordings, just this way it doesn't turn off constantly. So I'm going to grab that to right there, add another loop cut, and just start bringing these down a little bit. And that's very simple blocking of a car. We can grab that and bring it inwards a little bit. And just like that, we've created a very simple car block that, in my opinion, looks pretty good. What I am going to do is go back into top view here and bring it back to where it originally was. And I'm going to scale that and extrude it. Extrude it again. Scale it again. If I go to the front view, and then we can just like that, and that looks pretty good. And well, it doesn't look amazing or anything like that, but for a car we created in about 5 minutes, I think that looks pretty good. So now it's time to texture this bad boy. So let's go into solid mode here, and I'm going to go to the side view. Sorry, my chair's all squeaky and I'm really cold, so I'm kind of shaking. Anyway, I'm going to create a new texture here. This is going to be called car. We're going to go assign, new, make a texture, car. And now what I'm going to do is go to my grocery store, or sorry, my terrain, textures, and I'm going to go to my downloads and grab this image, which is the image I was using as modeling reference. We can go image or movie, open image, textures, this one. It's going to be generated to UV. I'm just going to grab it over here so we can kind of see what we're doing. Actually, you know what, we're just going to leave it on this there. I'm just going to add a hemi so we can better see what we're doing. And I'm going to put this to textured mode and open my Nissan. And I'm going to go project from view. I'm going to grab everything I can see and go project from view. And because we literally blocked it to this form, it's going to be pretty simple to get this in here. I did forget to do the wheels, but that shouldn't matter too much. So we have that. Now we can go to top view and grab everything from the top and go project from view. And this is going to go right over this. Just like that. So that is the top view. I'm actually going to grab this and just lift it up just a little bit. just like that, so it helps define that curve a little bit. Then what we can do is the bottom is going to just be project from view. It's literally going to be just black. It's going to be this texture here. Let's make it that. And then the back, we'll go project from view. It's going to be the back of the car. And this back is only about to there. So that's pretty good. Now we can go to the front view here, and that looks pretty good. So this is a really crappy car we did. It looks not great at all. However, being a low poly object, it doesn't have to look great. And that's the nice thing about these low poly objects, is that literally this thing looks pretty bad, but it's allowed to look bad. So now we can go to the side view here, and go cursor to selected. And I'm gonna go inside and add a circle with 10 vertices, and a triangle fan closing, and go to over here. I'm also going to bring this to about here. I'm going to bring it inside the tire. And this thing needs to be, let's go Nissan, open it up. This is going to project from view. And this one is going to get inside of this car wheel texture right here. Now we can link that and duplicate it to right here. So we can turn that to smooth shading. And now it's time to turn off backface culling, and we can put a normal on this. Let's try 0.1. So that doesn't look very, realistic, or it doesn't look amazing, but it looks good enough that we can put it inside of a game as a low poly object. Now, if I were really doing this for a game of mine that I was creating, I would spend the time to make this thing look amazing. I would spend an hour on it at least, which is hopefully what you guys will do, because hopefully you guys are going to be well, I don't know, maybe you guys are making a tutorial series. What I was going to say is, hopefully you guys are going to be taking the time. What am I trying to say? You guys are probably making the games that you guys can make money off the game, which makes sense. So this game is free, so it's and it's not actually a game for what am I trying to say, for sale or anything like that. So it's probably a good idea, or it's not a great idea to spend too much time for just a tutorial series, because that looks pretty good. You know what, never mind, I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore, because if we press play, that looks decent. So now we can actually grab our character, and what I'm going to do is delete all these other objects here, except for some pine trees. I'm not going to delete those pine trees, and I'm not going to delete some of the ferns, because what I'm going to do is grab everything on this map, select this map, and I'm going to scale it upwards to the size of our player. So our player is probably going to be just about as tall as the car, if not a little taller, like so. And this tree and whatnot, if we go into background images, Where's that background image? Oh, it's just really small now. We can put it to like right there. And let's see which one of these things we can put around here. So we can probably put one right there. We can put some things right there. Hey! We can put some more stuff right there. It's just my brother, if you guys are wondering. Okay, so now, if we play this scene, it is way too big still, so we need to scale down this guy. And that's more realistic now, because if I go up to a door, I'm roughly the size of a door. So we can look around, and everything looks pretty good. And we've got this car here, which looks a little bit funny because of the wheels, which I'm going to fix. I guess it doesn't help a lot, huh? And now we can rotate this. Yeah, so if we play this scene, it's gonna look pretty good. At least for a scene that we've created in like 2 or 3 episodes, because this is actually the second day I've worked on this. All the recording's being done in a couple of days. That looks pretty good. And eventually we'll have bullet holes and all that stuff. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Tune in next time. See you later. Bye-bye.